Hello and welcome to this week's episode of In Conversation. My name is Dr. Karl and Katherine. I'm the school's relation manager. I'm delighted to be joined today by Katherine Lloyd-Clark, who's our Assistant Director for Student Recruitment and Admissions. Hi Katherine, how you doing?
Hi Karl, I'm really well, thank you. Hope you're doing fine too.
Fantastic. Katherine, it is amazing to think that we're just on the cusp of A-level results coming out tomorrow. It seemed like this day wouldn't arrive for a long time.
I know, I can't believe we've got there already, Karl. This year's just whizzed by. And I've got a daughter actually receiving results as well. So we're on tenterhooks as a family.
Extra nerves in the household.
Indeed.
So looking at tomorrow, A-level results day. How is this results day going to be different to previous years?
Well, Karl, there are some obvious ways in which results day is different this year. And then there's a whole bundle of unknowns where we can probably speculate for the next 10 hours, but basically nobody knows. In terms of the obvious differences, for the first time in my 25 years of doing university admissions, results day is on a Tuesday, not a Thursday. So that's going to feel very, very odd. We also have a situation where all of the results for all of the nations of the UK and all of the qualification types are coming in together at the same time. So that's going to be very interesting. And from the point of view of an admissions team, that's a really positive development. And I think that makes things very clear cut for us and possibly for applicants as well. In terms of those unknowns, clearly we're dealing with teacher assessed grades this year. That's a different process and a different mechanism again from the centre assessed grades that we had for 2020. So there are some unknowns really as to how teacher assessed grades will be received nationally. We hope that the situation will be steady and calm, and that the majority of candidates will be happy with the results that they get. But we're prepared for more or less anything based on our experience of 2020, Karl.
At least we are prepared.
Indeed.
Katherine, we've had a few media reports come through over the last week or so, and one of them touches upon how there are reports about top universities expected to stick quite rigidly to entry grades. How much truth do you think there is in these stories?
Well, that's in the category of the unknown as well, really, Karl. And until we see those results, we're not going to be sure what proportion of people have met their requirements. Here at Exeter, we're always particularly interested in that proportion in relation to A levels, for example, who are attaining in the kind of A star to B range. And last year, that increased by 2% on the previous year, and that had quite a significant impact on our numbers, meaning that we were less reliant on clearing than perhaps we would have been in other years. We don't make very extensive use of clearing at the University of Exeter at all, but last year it was really quite minimal. And I would anticipate that the same is true again this year. It may indeed be the case that we have less flexibility for those who've narrowly missed their conditions, because there could be another lift in those A star to B A level grades, Karl. But really, until we see those results landed, it's difficult to speculate. We have done a lot of numbers modelling to ensure that we are prepared to deliver the same amazing high quality Exeter student experience, whatever the numbers that we're committed to following results day.
So a lot of it is actually just wait until tomorrow and see what results look like to be able to see how much flexibility there is in the system.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Karl. But, you know, again, bringing to bear my sort of parental sense of things this year a little bit, I'd also say that I know how hard this year group has worked for their teacher assessed grades. And whatever results come out, they will be earned and they will be deserved. And I really hope that the national narrative recognises that, and that Year 13s feel proud of what they've achieved, even if the press is talking about grade inflation and things like that. You know, teachers and advisors and young people will know how hard those young people have worked for those outcomes, and we really should be recognising that for them.
Okay. Now, Katherine, something closer to home. Last week, we saw reports about the University of Exeter reference our medical places, and it obtained sort of a fair amount of coverage out there. Are you able to shed some more light on this, and are there any implications for other courses outside the medical sphere?
Okay, that's a really good question, Karl. So yes, back in June, when we saw the proportion of people who had accepted places at Exeter, we became aware that we were likely to have very high numbers of students in our medicine cohort. With medicine, there are very particular issues that come into play in relation to the funding by the government of medicine places. We have a limited number of funded places for medicine, and if we exceed that, then we are not funded to teach those students. But more importantly, Karl, of course, medicine is a programme that's delivered very extensively in partnership, and we have NHS and other clinical partners who help us provide that medicine training, and their capacity is not unlimited either. And so we have to ensure that we have a manageable cohort size. So we made a decision to offer what we call an incentivised deferral package to offer holders for medicine. We also made a very clear decision that if we were going to go to the lengths of asking those offer holders to consider deferring until 2022, we wanted to make their year really purposeful and feasible, because we make no assumptions that a gap year is easy for everyone. Not everyone's in a position to afford to do it. So we wanted to put a really significant package behind that. And in fact, that package has been very well received, both in terms of the year of paid for accommodation in 2022, and indeed the financial package that will be given this year to those students taking a gap year. We had really positive, strong feedback from the applicant community on that package, and we are confident now that we're going to have a manageable sized medicine cohort, and that students are going to get the same outstanding student experience they would ordinarily expect from Exeter. In terms of whether the same applies to other courses, we're not offering deferral packages in any other context. We do have a small number of disciplines where we do expect to have pretty sizable cohorts, but we've got plans in place to ensure that we can deliver high quality teaching and learning for all of those and manage that effectively from September.
That's great. That's good to sort of hear in terms of reassuring signals there. Katherine, we'll have some teachers and advisors listening to us today who will be heading into schools and colleges tomorrow to speak to their students as they receive their results. And some students will be still thinking about deferral or possibly reapplying again next year. What's your advice for students considering either of these options?
Well, first and foremost, Karl, those are kind of personal and family decisions. I always suggest when people are contemplating a change of plan that they take time to consider it. I don't think the best moment to make a definitive decision on that change of plan is the moment of either elation or perhaps disappointment, you know, the moment that you get those results. I think you need to take a breath, and I think teachers and advisors will be recommending that candidates, digest the results they've received and think carefully, talking to whoever looks after them at home as well about the next steps. Clearly there may be reasons why particular individuals really do want to defer to 2022. Perhaps there's a level of exhaustion amongst year 13s about all of the, the COVID mitigation they've had to endure, and they just really decide that they'd like to have a more normal year ahead, where things can be a little bit more relaxed, or perhaps they feel, I know my daughter's found that the employment opportunities are pretty good at the moment for picking up part-time or even full-time work for young people. So there might be very good reasons why a gap year feels attractive where it didn't earlier in the year. I would say always make sure to talk to the admissions team concerned before a final decision, before you get your heart set. And teachers and advisors should advise candidates to talk to the relevant admissions team before any final decision is made about deferral, because the situation will be different at each university, to be honest. And I think the same is true for reapplication. This will probably be in the context maybe of some students getting stronger results perhaps than they had anticipated, and wanting to go round the loop again and perhaps apply for a slightly different set of institutions. My guess, hand on heart, is that there are going to be quite a few people doing that, and that on top of an applicant pool nationally that's growing because the demographics are growing, there are more 18-year-olds in the population year on year for the next few years, we will see some quite bumper application volumes for 2022. And what that means is that those applications become more competitive. So even though results might be stronger than anticipated, it may not mean that it's easier to get the dream university choice. And that will be particularly true for medicine. So I would recommend teachers and advisors, giving a note of caution for people who decide to have another go to try for a medicine application. Careful choice of institution there will be the key to securing a medicine offer.
Okay. Is there a way for teachers and advisors come tomorrow morning, or even tomorrow afternoon, I guess, is there a way for them to be able to reach out to universities and to University of Exeter in particular, to be able to seek some advice and possibly sound some thoughts which you just described?
Yes, Carl. So in terms of the national picture, each university will be publishing either a telephone or a live chat mode of contact. For the University of Exeter, we're actually running a dedicated teacher and advisor support line. So it's possible to contact us for support with those sorts of queries. That support line will be open from 8:30 on results day all the way through to 5 o'clock on the 10th of August. And the number for that will be 01392 723 372. So we're really happy to speak to teachers and advisors who want some extra support. Just bear in mind that we won't be able to talk about specifics in relation to particular candidates unless that teacher or advisor is the nominated contact. But it's really appropriate for more general queries or to discuss an overall situation perhaps that a school or college has.
That's great. And the online chat or the live chat that you described, that's a purely online interaction with admissions advisors.
That's right, and there will be signposts to that from our website for results day itself.
That's great. Okay, Katherine, I think that's all we're going to cover for today. A huge thank you for your input and time today, and obviously good luck to yourself and your daughter tomorrow too. And thank you for listening to us today. We wish you all the success for tomorrow. If you do need to get in touch with us, please do. We're here to help and support where we can. But otherwise, a huge good luck, and hopefully we will all be celebrating good results in the coming days. Thank you for listening, and we will be back next week.